Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you get what you want or need from this masterclass. We won't be able to cover everything related to oils, but I hope you can walk away with more confidence than you started with and a tiny piece that you can be proud of. While I want to give you practical guidance and processes, I also want you to enjoy the process. If you're new to oils, I hope you fall in love with this medium like I have. So why me? Why are you here? Well, I'll give you a little bit about my background. I studied general art at Winthrop College in South Carolina, while I acquired an associate degree in business with a concentration in entrepreneurial studies. I've been working full-time as a wedding photographer for over 10 years, so I have a unique insight on what people like in their homes and on their walls. The principles and elements of design have guided me throughout my career, and they've influenced every photo or piece that I've done. Before we get started with the materials, I want to talk about mindset and process. So I'm going to give you 3 rules during this masterclass. Number 1, enjoy the process, even if you don't create a piece you're proud of yet. Number 2, don't be nervous. Leave your fear at the door. This is an opportunity, not a challenge. And 3, perfection has no place here. Don't let it steal your joy. I was a perfectionist for such a long time, and I would agonize over realism, but my paintings lacked depth, emotion, connection, and I didn't even really enjoy the process. I approached the painting with fear, especially near the end. I would be so paralyzed, and I would end up abandoning almost every piece. So here's my process, and it changes up at times. The beauty of this process is that it allows for flexibility. I go into one of these mini paintings with a vague idea of what I want to come away with. For instance, like a misty forest or a stormy ocean or a calming sunrise, etc. I let my subject inform my colors and mixes, and then I start loosely applying color to block in where I think I want the composition to go, but I allow the painting to paint itself. Once I start, things start to evolve. And instead of denying my instinct as I'm going, I just lean into it. So I must go into these types of paintings with an open mind and flexibility. So my message to you is that these things come with time, experience, and practice. So don't be hard on yourself or afraid when you're not achieving something. It just takes some time and practice. So before we begin, let's talk about what's next for you. If you enjoy this masterclass and come away with confidence and knowledge, keep in mind I'm creating a 7-day minis workshop. I will announce the details when I'm done, but we're going to explore different elements of nature. We're going to create 7 miniature paintings in 7 days and explore a few techniques and create something to be proud of. There's no rush since it's pre-recorded, there's no rush to do a painting every day for 7 days, but it's a 7-day workshop with the mindset of going into it. We're going to limit each piece to like an hour or 2. Obviously, not everybody can paint that much in a day. So that's another reason why we broke it down to 7 miniature paintings. And we stop in places that you can stop in. So, I'll let you know when you could take a rest or pause for a couple days to come back to something. So guys, I'm so glad you're here. Let's get into this little masterclass. Okay, so starting with materials, I'm loving this New York Central Art Supply 100% cotton watercolor paper. I get the 300-pound cold pressed, but you could get the hot press and have a smoother surface. I actually got this for my watercolors and then started experimenting with my acrylics and oils on it, and I've just really fallen in love with it. It's a nice thick paper. You can't really see, but this is the thickness of it here. I cover my paper with GAC 100. I do a sort of thin layer and I let that dry for 24 hours. Then I do it again, let it dry for 24 hours. After that second day, now this is going to protect your paper from the oil. So that there's a barrier. There are other things you could use. I just use this, and it's good price, and I love the way this product works. I do thin layers so there's no ridges in it. So when you're spreading it, you'll want to make sure that it's smooth. After my GAC So we're 48 hours from when we started prepping our paper, and I do a layer of Jerry's World's Greatest Gesso, whatever gesso you want. I let that dry for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how long it needs. I'll do maybe one or two more coats, and then I let that dry for 24 to 48 hours. For what I hold my paint in, because sometimes I like to do these outside, and so I just really like to have small materials. So here I am using titanium white, and this is Tuscan Pine, very high pigment load oil paint. I love it. It's made in North Carolina, which makes me happy because I'm in South Carolina. But yeah, I use the white, the titanium white. I use up here in this corner, we have Charcoal Gray by Winsor Newton. And this is the Artist's Oils. Next up, we have Payne's Gray by Tuscan Pine. Now, if you don't know much about Payne's Gray, it's kind of a bluish pigment. It's a dark, dark blue. Next, we have, and you can't really see, but that right there, these are from my pigment sticks. So I just, instead of peeling the outer layer off like some people do, I just kind of dig into it with my with my palette knife and dig some out that's not like dried over, crusted over. Oh, this is indigo. Next up we have Green Earth, and I use the pigment stick with this too. No reason for me to be using pigment sticks with these, except I could not find these colors at my local Jerry's Artorama in a brand that I wanted at the time. So, and then next up we have another green. This is our Prussian green. It's very, very beautiful. And then in the middle, you can see where I've mixed up. I have these little paint pots that I use for my mandalas and my children. And on this side, I have my paint medium, which I'll show you in just a minute. And on this side, I have my solvent. So that way it doesn't get messy anywhere. This is pretty much dried up now, I think. So I probably need to just throw this away. Wonderful thing about this is I have the ability to have a really tiny space, very minimal waste, because it usually stays for a long time in this pot, so without drying up too much. Oh yeah, so you can get these off Amazon. You can get these off Amazon. Pretty much everything you could get off Amazon. I like to support Jerry's just because it's rare that we have an art store that stays and carries really good materials. So my paint medium, I'm using Galkid. The reason I like using Galkid is if you paint in layers, it will help speed up the drying process. So I can paint a thin layer one day and go back the next day if I want. In this painting, we're not doing layers though. But this will help your paint to be a little smoother. So, and this comes with experience. So mixing medium, what I usually do is I like to put a little bit on my brush, I take a little bit with my brush, put it on the palette, and then just kind of mix it through in my brush. This is pretty much what I clean my brushes with. We have shop towels, really good at absorbing oil. And I actually take these, you know, when I'm out and about because I don't like to really clean my brushes in the solvent and introduce other mess to the paper. In between, like as much as I can, I just want to put as less onto it as possible and not dilute or mix around too much. I use a little pipette to get the solvent and the Galkid into my little paint pots. This is the brush I use for my gesso and GAC 100 application. It's just an older, cheaper brush. You could use a sponge brush, but I feel like sponge brushes just absorb too much. So if you're not worried about a little bit of lines, you know, that come up or the unevenness, some people really like that just because it gives sort of a flair to it, to the substrate that you work on so that it's not completely even. My little palette knife I take with me, but honestly, and I need to try this out, but I think that a cuticle pusher would probably work better with these smaller paintings when I want to do mountains and things with a palette knife. And then my brushes I like to use for my tiny paintings. So these are Paris Hilton makeup brushes. This is the all over lid brush. But as you can see here, it's very, the bristles are very tightly packed together. I love makeup brushes for how soft and strong they are. I also love that when you get a makeup brush, there's very little shedding compared to an actual brush from the store. Of course, these are synthetic too. So here's a blending brush. Like I said, Paris Hilton cheap makeup brushes. I think I got these at Ross. I don't even know, maybe like $5 or something. And I got like a big pack of them, so I got the big ones too, which I use on larger paintings. Your angled eye brush work fantastically. And then here I have just a little Cheap Joe's. Now Cheap Joe's is out of business, but a Cheap Joe's brush to do a little bit of the detail work that I want. This is a 0. Sometimes I bring little tiny things that I can hold like right up to my right up to my painting while I'm doing it, if I don't have a little tin like that to put it inside of. Oh yeah, and that's what this little piece of tape is for. I generally just tape it in there so that while I'm painting, I can hold it like this. So I like to be able to hold this because when you set it down, this, you probably can't see it well, but it hangs down. And so the angle, I can't really see it as well. So I like to be able to hold this up. And then if I have my little palette like that, I can just get to stuff very easily. Even if I don't have this, I can get to something very easily. Another thing I use, and this is dirty guys, I'm embarrassed, but I'll get like a piece of plastic or something and tape it on so that I can hold it and not get, you see what I'm saying? I hold the edges of it. So that way it's just easier to paint. You could use, a board or anything you wanted, but these are just really lightweight materials, and this is just plastic that holds up really well. I picked these tiny little canvases up the other day. The drawback is these are probably going to be much harder to cut down to exact size like I want for the frames that I use. So, but I think that these will be great for certain projects for sure. So I get my frames off of Amazon, and what I do is usually just like put the paper down, turn the frame over, and then just trace on the back of the paper where the frame is, and then I cut out, I actually go through and draw out around it so that I can cut it out and have the right size that I need for the specific frame that I want the piece to be in. Now for me, I batch prepare stuff. So I have 8 of these ready to go right now. I hate it when so as an artist, you should paint every day and improve your skills, but sometimes the muse comes on. And when the muse comes on, or you just like, oh, I need to paint, I like to have something already prepared, surfaces already prepared. I do this with my sketchbooks too. So that way I'm ready to go if I feel something come upon me. Obviously, like I said, you should push through not having those motivational, inspirational days. You should paint or do whatever it is, 15 minutes a day at least. But when the time calls and you're like, oh, I'm so inspired, you have something ready. The last thing I have is this little bag. It's just like a plastic sandwich bag. But all of my materials fit inside of this except for my tripod, of course, that I film with, my phone, that type of stuff. So the first thing I've done here, you can see where it's shiny in the pan there. I got a little bit of my medium, the Gal Kid, put some there and just dipped a little bit of my brush in it and started mixing it around to get it into the brush and everything. And now I'm just getting a little bit of all of my colors here. So on the top left, we have charcoal gray. Next, we have Payne's gray. Then we have indigo from the RF sticks. And then we have green earth. And then we have Prussian green. And then on the bottom left, I have titanium white. So what I'm doing is mixing it up, and you can kind of see in the bottom corner there, I was kind of just scratching off some of that additional paint. And I'm just going to go in, and you don't need a lot. You need a very small amount of paint, which is why I kind of scraped some off. Just going around and gently mixing the paint into the paper. And this part, it didn't come out as dark as I wanted yet, so you'll see where we change this later, but I just wanted to go ahead and get a base part down. So we know that this is going to be sort of like the beginning of the forest or a field or something like that. You know, I don't know if I had made my mind up yet what it was. So the first brush I'm using is the all over lid brush. If you're a female, you probably know what it is. If you're not, then it's basically like kind of a angled like blending brush. And it just has like the middle of it is the longest part, but it kind of like falls off. It's not like a really sharp point. And I use this brush for almost everything in this painting. I do end up switching to a blending brush, but I use it just because I had an extra one that was there that I didn't have to wipe off. So here I'm going a little bit darker with it. You can see me putting it in, and I have more on my brush, and I'm also kind of tapping it in rather than scrubbing it in. So I'm tapping it in to get that color on there. These colors together make the most beautiful green. It's so nice and cool. So it's a it just works really well for forests, and I love these colors together. I'm sure we could achieve them without all of these, but this was just easy to do and make these colors. So yeah, guys, I'm so glad you're here. Put down in the comments where you're watching from, what you hope to get out of this, and maybe at the end what you liked about it. And I really want to see your finished paintings at the end. So please email me what you've done. Now I'm going in with a little bit, it looks like... Yes, so now I'm going in with a little bit lighter color. This way I'm gonna start adding mist to the painting. And the way that we're gonna do that is we're gradually gonna go a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter as we go in that background. So I'm just kind of adding where some mist, fog, or trees might go. I'm just kind of laying it out. I don't really know exactly where I want to put stuff yet. Just kind of letting it, you know, inform me as I go. And you'll see as we get through it, it's like there's going to be a hill that's coming from the left and down. And so that's why I'm blocking in this upper portion here to the right, where you're going to be able to see some trees in the distance. So they're not going to be very detailed. And then you're going to see mist come down. I'm also laying out some paint here because I'm going to blend in white with this mist. I'm going to blend in lighter greens in with this. And so I need like a base to go on. You can't just go from one to the other just like that when you're trying to do like a misty painting. So you want to blend everything. You don't want to blend everything together, but you want to be able to have enough colors in there and in sort of like the right enough values that you can basically blend together. So as you see, I am going lighter here, and this is on the edges, and I'm just kind of pulling that paint out from the sides. You see I'm laying down the white and kind of going in between. And what I'm doing is putting my brush, I'm cleaning it very well in between this. Now, I don't like to use solvent when I'm in between when I'm doing this. I like to clean my brush completely at the end. The reason I don't introduce solvent is, number one, I do like to use paper. The solvent just adds more chemicals into the mix, and it's also harder for me to take everywhere if I bring too much. So you saw my little tub of it. So what I'm doing here is the same thing I've been doing, just blocking in those colors. Now I'm going in between with some nice good white, and you see the edges. Basically, I'm taking my brush and going from a dark edge, adding the white in to make it a little bit lighter. See, I'm adding some white here, basically just kind of brushing it on, and then I'll clean my brush. After I add all this white on, you'll see, or kind of grayish, then I'll clean my brush, and then I'm going to go back in just to the edges, you see, yeah, and refine all of those so that it's not blending all the way to the middle, because I definitely want to have some defined white in there since we're doing a misty forest. And I'm just going to continue this process for a little bit. This that I'm doing here is going to be like the ground fog layer, like the mist is just coming down the mountain. It's just kind of billowing around. It's just going to be a nice, misty, beautiful, intimate feeling when we're done. Once again, I'm taking just the little tip of my brush, brushing in a little bit of that with the white, with a little bit of the green. As you see, I've got part of my brush on the white, part of my brush on the green, and I'm just going around, and I'm constantly cleaning my brush on the shop rag so I'm not pulling more colors through and through. So now I'm taking my dark green again, and what I've done here, I'm getting a teeny bit, and I'm using the actual bristles of my brush and the way that the brush is formed, so you can see the little lines that are coming up. I'm just getting some movement in there with those lines. Now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add some branches and things to this. And I think that I end up going over that again. But so here I am using, I think this is a 0 round brush. I just want something with a really tiny tip that I'm able to get in there. But yes, I'm using that dark color still. And just adding, you know, the idea of trees back in that background. Mixed up a little bit more darker color. We know that we're also going to be covering this up a little bit too. So now you see I am adding a few more vertical trees, like trunks, and then I'm going to add a little bit of branches on here. I think I ended up covering this up. I think I got aggravated and just did not like it and really thought that that linear look worked well. So you can just disregard this part if you want to, because I ended up not even going with it. And that's the beauty of these paintings is, well, first of all, they're tiny. If I wanted to scrap the whole thing, I could have just thrown it away, started over. I guess I'm not even 20 minutes into the painting yet. So if I wanted to, I could just scrap it, no problem. But I decided to keep going with it because I said, you know what? I want to lean into this mistake and I want to fix this mistake and continue forward. I didn't want to have to wait a whole day or two for it to dry and then restart. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go with it. So you just watch what I do here. But there is a section coming up to the left where I start to add some trees. This is the process I use to add those trees. For some reason, that part of the filming is gone, but luckily it's only like 2 or 3 trees and you get to see the rest of the trees after the couple that I add to the left. So you won't, it actually, you'll be able to see a better version of the trees anyway. So right here, I am blending in the edge of where the mist is, that white, and blending it in over across the bottom. I want to get like sort of a darker green coming through. So as you see, I keep wiping my brush, blending it out. I wiped my brush and now I'm just slightly going over the tops of these with my brush. Blending a little closer in to get that darker green that I like. Continuing to create that gradation coming down. It isn't going to be a long gradation, but I wanted more of a gradation. So you see I added a little bit of white. Now I'm blending that in with that green again. Now this is the part where I said, you know what? I really don't like these trees like this. So I just start pulling upward again. And you'll see where this takes us. I like it so much better this way. Just going back in with that white, making more gradation there, making some more mist up here. And that's the thing about this, you know, take your time. Especially if you're new to this, you need, okay, this is the part where I told you there were some trees that just appear out of nowhere. As you see, I didn't even spend much time on those trees anyways, because they're just going to be fading into the background. But, so here we go with the trees on the left side. So you just take your brush and you make a sort of a dark green. I would add less of the blues into this color mix. It's the same sort of color mix as we did at that top right there. So it's just really, really dark green, a little bit more of the gray, the charcoal gray than the blues. So as you see, all I do is just draw a line top to bottom, bottom to top. You want the bottom to be a little bit wider than the top when you're making your trunk. And then you just make little shapes on the sides. So I went bottom to top on this one. Now I'm just going through. As you can see, I'm just putting little shapes. I have these kind of going upwards, kind of down. You don't want your marks to be all the same. If you make them all the same, then it just looks fake anyway. But have fun with it. You know, you could make them all the same if you wanted to. It's your painting. I know that these are going to go into the mist as well, so I'm not concentrating on making them perfect, as you can see. So what we're going to do is start on the trees that are going to be really in the foreground here. So the main part of this painting really was getting that background the way that I wanted it. So now, right at the top of that mist, as you see, we're going to draw a trunk from the bottom to the top. We're going to add in our branches going upwards. And, you know, I'm not getting a whole lot more paint. I'm just kind of letting the paint that's underneath it kind of come with it. If you painted too thick, this part will not work for you. You will have to let your painting dry a day or two in between. And then you could just restart over. But yeah, if you painted too thick, it's going to keep pulling up your paint from below and it's not going to work. So as you see, I'm just drawing the trunk up once again, just angling that brush and making those branches going upward. So I liked the way this felt, but as you see, I add a dead tree as well. Now I'm taking a clean, dry brush and I am just going over the top of these trees. Clean, dry brush. If all you had was the one brush, just clean it off really, really good. And I'm just going over the top of them very, very gently so that they kind of fade back into that background. I keep wiping my brush to the side. That's why you see me going off the side, just wiping my brush to make sure I'm getting the paint off. So the cool thing about this is some of the white from the background is coming into this. This part, I grab some white because I'm going to be putting that mist in front of the trees. So you can see where it looks like mist is behind and where it looks like mist is coming in the front. So now I've worked on that a little bit and I'm going back to my foreground trees and I'm taking the tip of my brush and I am just very gently, very softly going in between the green and the fog, the white at the bottom. And so you can see where that green is coming down. That's another thing is I do kind of extend my trees a little bit longer than what I want them to, than what I want the visible part to be, so that I can do this method. So I liked how that came out, and then I was like, well, these two trees, this does not even feel good. So I decided I was going to add one more. They say to do things in 3s and 5s and 7s and all this. So I added one more, but as you see, I end up doing one more. So I have 4. So I broke a rule. But I wanted to add sort of an outlier here, a dead tree. Especially in the Misty forest. Not every tree in the forest is going to be alive, obviously. So that kind of adds to the realism. It's a very easy process. Once again, you're going to make the bottom a little bit wider than the top, and then you just kind of add like where trees, branches have fallen off and all kinds of stuff. So you just don't fill it in as much as you did the other ones. Just make some shapes, have fun with it. And as you can see here, I'm deciding. So I was putting my brush in the areas I was thinking I was going to make another tree. And then I'm like, no, that's not going to look right on that side. So then I went in between the dead tree and this tree. And I'm adding a smaller one here to add a little bit of variety. I'm just blending in that dead tree and the small tree the same way I did the other stuff. I am just using the side of my brush So once again, I'm grabbing some of my white to add in there because I want that transition from that dark green to the light to come through. Adding more light over here to the left to blend it in a little bit more. So I'm adding a little bit more mist in places and also kind of covering those trees up a little bit more just to have them, in the background, just kind of peeking out. Wiped my brush off again, and I'm just kind of refining what I have going on here. I'll add a little bit darker there for some variety. Have that mist coming up a little bit. So for realism, you want things to have that variety, but then you have that expressive part of this too, that you don't want everything to look completely real because you want to evoke a feeling. And so that's kind of part of it as well. Right here, as you can see, I was not happy with how light the bottom came out. So I said, you know what, we're going to go in a little bit more. So this is where it's an advantage to wait for your base layers to dry. But I like to be able to do these in an hour. I have ADHD really bad, and once I put something down, I kind of forget about it. So I love to do things all at once. Just using, instead of using like a blending brush like I have for my eyebrow or eyelash, whatever it was, makeup brushes, I'm using that one with a tip. So it's that zero brush to add in some of that texture. Now I'm going to go in with my beginning blending brush, and I'm just going to go and blend down just a little bit more because I want to create more of a hill, more of a downturn from the left to the right. I also want that mist to kind of billow across it, across it, like it's I don't know, just coming to you, coming at you, or maybe inviting you in. I don't know. What do you think? Put it in the comments below. Just kind of blending out some of the texture that I put there to make it look more, misty on that part, foggy. And you'll see I keep some of the detail, but I really wanted like that blanket coming down so you could see like how foggy it is there. Just kind of like envelops you. Oh, I forgot. I must have added another tree here. Where's my painting at? Let me look at it. Now, as you see, I am doing the same thing as I did on the ones above, and I'm making my making my trunks a little bit smaller at the top, a little bit bigger at the bottom, and just continue. And this is, this is a made up tree. I don't even know what kind of tree this is. We will be studying some trees later on, but this is just a fun little exercise to get us really into that expressiveness. Come away with a good painting, come away with something that's fun and that you just felt really good about, and just getting an introduction to some of these little techniques or these little ways of painting. Refining the fog here, making it a little bit brighter so it's just really, really eye-catching. And you can see where it looks kind of like it's wrapping around the middle set of trees there. I don't know what happened there. It looked like I was trying to do something and then just couldn't get a grip on what I was doing. So anyway, just got that clean brush here, just going down and kind of blending out a little bit more here, adding a little bit white so that it does a little bit better blending, that making that gradation in between the grass, the hill, whatever it is, and the fog, whatever you want it to be, it is. And you can let me know. So now we are on to my favorite part, which are the little birds. So I mixed up, I think it was a little of the gray and blue, maybe just some of the charcoal gray. And all I did was kind of flatten out that round brush. When you do these birds, as you can see, the body part, so the part that is further away from the wing, is a little thicker. And you just go up one side and up the other. And now I'm just looking to see where I want the frame to go on this. When I do frame it, it's oil, so it'll take a little while. But look at that. That is so cute. So I want you to email me the paintings that you get accomplished because I'd love to see what they look like.